Let's make creamy mashed potatoes a side dish worthy of your Thanksgiving table or even your dinner table. We're going to be starting with 4 pounds of potatoes. I am using russet potatoes for our mashed potatoes. I'm just going to take a regular carrot peeler, potato peeler, vegetable peeler, whatever it's known as, and you want to hold your potato in the palm of your hand and then peel away from yourself. We're going to go all the way around the potato. Now you can use Yukon Gold potatoes for this recipe also, and the Yukon Gold potatoes have a really thin, kind of a waxy skin to it, and you can leave it on or you can cut it off. But we're going to be using the russet potatoes today because they're a very starchy potato, which will really hold up to making a fluffy potato. Now I'm just going to go around the ends of the potatoes. Take a look at your potato, go around it. If you see anything that you don't want, we'll take this off right here. Just take the corner of your carrot peeler and then you can just pop that right out of there. Now I'm going to place the potatoes into a large bowl that I filled about halfway up with water. And this will keep them nice and clean and keep them from getting brown while we're working on the rest of the potatoes. Now I've got about 10 potatoes and they're about palm size to hand sized potatoes. So they're not the large to extra large potatoes. Now I've got my cutting board ready and a large pot. Now I did rinse out the water and add some new water to it to kind of clean that up. So I'm going to take my potato out, take a large sharp knife, we're going to cut it in half lengthwise, lay them flat, cut them again in half lengthwise. We're going to turn them and then we're just going to cut them again. These are 1-inch pieces. Set them off to the side. We'll finish the rest. Now the smaller you cut your potato, the faster they'll cook. Now if you leave them whole and try to cook them that way, they'll cook longer, but plus it takes a long time for that water to get to the center of the potato to soften them up. And then you've got a watery potato and it'll be more spongy like, and you don't want that. Once we get the potatoes cut up, we're going to add them to our large pot. All right, we're going to fill our pot with cold water about 1 to 2 inches above the potatoes. We're going to place it on our burner, and we're going to place it on a high heat. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. We want to be able to flavor the water, which will flavor the potatoes, because you don't want bland potatoes. We're going to bring the potatoes to a boil, and then we're going to lower the heat to a low and let these simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes. You want to be able to take a fork into the potato and break it apart really easily. All right, I'll be back. I'm going to go in with a spider tool, pull the potatoes out. Look for the biggest one, stick the fork in and twist, and it just breaks apart. These are done. We're going to drain these and put them back in the pot. Now I've put them back on my burner and it's still on a low, and I'm just going to move the potatoes around. We want to dry the potatoes out and get all that excess moisture out of the potato. Should just take about 1 minute. Let's talk about the tool that you can use to mash up your potatoes to get them nice and creamy and fluffy. I'm using a potato masher, or you can use a potato ricer. You can use a strainer and put your potatoes in and mash them through. That'll get them nice and creamy, but that takes a lot of time and effort. You can use like an electric hand mixer if you want to do that. I feel that they get kind of gummy and pasty, so it's not a good texture for mashed potatoes because they're overworked if you're using an electric hand mixer or a stand mixer. So I'm going to go in with this, and then as I'm doing that, I'm going to add in 1 stick of butter. Now I'm going to cut it into 8 pieces and just put it all in there and mash it all in there with it. Now the heat from the potatoes and the pot will help melt the butter. There we go. Now I'm using a Dutch oven, which is really good for if you're using like metal utensils. So make sure you always have your potatoes in something that you can use that metal utensil on. Okay, we've got a good mash on the potatoes right now. We need to get them nice and creamy. So we need to add a milk product. Now you can use regular milk, you can use half and half, heavy whipping cream. People tend to use sour cream in it, but you know, it gives it a little tang that I really don't like in mashed potatoes, but it's all up to you. So I'm going to be using some heavy whipping cream. Now I took it out of the refrigerator to take the chill off of it because we don't want to put ice cold milk into our mashed potatoes while we're making them. So we're going to add a little bit at a time and then blend that in. Oh, it's really starting to look creamy. Look at that. All right, now at this stage, since I've got them all mashed up, I'm just going to go in with a wooden spoon and start getting it all mixed up. You don't want to over mix your mashed potatoes. Give it a taste. Now we need to season with some salt and pepper. Go in with half a teaspoon of salt. And then we'll go in with some black pepper, just a little bit, about 1/4 teaspoon or less. We'll mix that in. Let me show you how we're going to serve these up. Okay, we're going to put some pats of butter on it. That'll look really good. Oh, can y'all see that butter just melting into the potatoes? Let's put a little bit of parsley, or you can use green onions or some chives, but make it pretty. There we go. Homemade, creamy, fluffy mashed potatoes. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. It's time to make some cranberry sauce. We're using fresh cranberries. This is a superfruit. First thing you want to do is give these a rinse really well. So I'm going to put these into a colander. We're going to take these over to the sink, wash these off. Cold water should do it. Oh, look how pretty those are. Okay, we're just going to go through these, make sure there's no stems, leaves, or anything like that. Like this right here. Yeah, don't want that. Drain them out. We're going to take some fresh oranges. It's like some navel oranges here. We're going to cut these in half. We're going to squeeze the juice out of them. Now you want fresh oranges, okay? If you're using orange juice, then it's already got sweeteners in it. And we're going to be sweetening the cranberries, okay? So we don't want to have too much sweetener going on, or it's going to be really hard to eat, right? So however you squeeze orange juice, you're going to need about 1/2 cup. So I'm just going to take my half orange here, put it on my orange squeezer, and squeeze the juice out. Now, I'm not worried about over squeezing the juice here, because if we have extra, I'm just going to drink it. Now, there's so many recipes for cranberry sauce to make your own homemade version. So this one's a good one, though. Love this one. All right. This is just my chopper, my food chopper, and it has a blade for squeezing oranges. It does a lot. We'll do another one, because we do have them. Woo! All right, we're going to measure that out. 1/2 cup. Smells So fresh and delicious. Let me see where my half a cup is. Ooh. Y'all, that was perfect right there. 1.5 oranges, freshly squeezed, right there. We're gonna bring our burner over. We're gonna bring our sugar over. We're gonna have some water ready, and we're gonna put our burner onto a medium heat. We're gonna add in half a cup of our orange juice, half a cup of water. We're gonna add in 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar. I'm using 1/4 cup, so we'll go in 3 times. There we go. We're going to stir this together and let it simmer on the medium heat. We want those sugars to dissolve into the juice and the water. I love the holidays. It gives you a chance to make something you've never made before. For Thanksgiving, I've always brought out the canned cranberry sauce. You know, the kind where you slice it and put it on a plate. Yeah, I love that. But I never really liked the can of cranberries that were chunky. But y'all, I want to make my own today. And I found a great recipe, kind of converted it to what I like. If you don't want to add the sugar, you can put in honey, any kind of sweetener. I'm going to kind of give that a test here. Oh yeah, that's perfect right there. We're going to add our cranberries. Now that this is nice and hot and the sugars have kind of melted into the orange juice and the water, let's add these delicious cranberries. Yeah. Now there's about 12 ounces of cranberries going in. There we go. Get these nice and coated. It smells good in there. We're going to go in with a pinch of salt. A pinch of salt would be about 1/8 teaspoon. It'll offset the orange juice and the sugar in there. We're going to add in 1 cinnamon stick. Now I'm going to take one of my oranges and I'm going to take a peeler and I'm going to peel a big slice of the orange. We'll let that go in, just a few of them. We'll give it a nice look. 1, and we'll do 3. There we go. Now you want to bring this to a simmer, and then it's going to cook for 10 minutes. And we're going to stir frequently. The cranberries are going to start popping in there, and that's what we want. I can hear them in there. Ooh, it smells good. Look at that. I'm going to bring you back as soon as the 10 minutes is up and all those cranberries, or the majority of them, have popped. This is what it's looking like about halfway through. I'm just going to take my spatula and I'm just going to start pushing down on the cranberries. Look at that color of this dish. And the cinnamon stick is in there and the orange peel is in there. There it is. There's the cinnamon stick right there. All right, we've got 5 more minutes. Okay, look at this. We're going to turn off the heat. It's been 10 minutes. A lot of the cranberries have already popped. We're going to take this off the burner. Okay, look at that. Cranberry jelly right here. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to kind of smush the ones that have popped one more time. Y'all, this will thicken up too. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to yank out the cinnamon stick, some tongs, get that out. And then I'm going to find the orange peels. Get those out. There we go. There's 1. There's 2. Oh my goodness, y'all. If y'all don't think it works, check that out. We're going to let this cool for 30 minutes. Oh, look at that, y'all. It thickened up beautifully. Look at the chunks in there. Put this on your table. What I'm going to do is add a cinnamon stick, a new one there. Just kind of push it in there. Take some more of the orange peel. Just kind of stick that in there. Gonna give it like a rustic look there. And there we go. Okay. You can serve it up just like this on your dinner table. This is kind of nice and room temperature. You can put it in the refrigerator. This will sit up for 3 days in the refrigerator in an airtight container. So you can make this ahead of time for your Thanksgiving table. Hello, everyone. Y'all ready for Crock-Pot sweet potato casserole? You're going to need 3 to 4 pounds of fresh sweet potatoes, brown sugar, cinnamon, vanilla, butter, some water, mini marshmallows, and chopped pecans. First thing we're going to do is start preparing our sweet potatoes. We're going to start by peeling our sweet potatoes. You're just going to take a peeler, just peel off that outer layer of skin. You can prepare your sweet potatoes the day before. So you can peel them and cube them and have them ready to go for the next morning. Just place them into a bowl of water and put it in your refrigerator. This is about 3 to 4 pounds of potatoes. I've got about 6 average size. The sweet potatoes are peeled. I've rinsed them off in the sink. What I'm going to do is cut these into 1-inch cubes. We want to keep them all the same size so that they cook evenly. So I'm just going to cut it in half lengthwise. Sweet potatoes are pretty tough. Got to cut them very carefully. Just use the knife edge right here as a leverage. There we go. We're going to place these into a large bowl. So once we get the potatoes in, I'm just going to fill it with water to cover the sweet potatoes. We're going to set these off to the side. To make the sweet glaze to coat the sweet potatoes with, in the crock pot, we're going to place 1.5 cups of brown sugar. To that, we're going to add 1 stick of melted butter. One teaspoon ground cinnamon. Well, that smells good. Always smells like fall when you open a cinnamon bottle. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to stir that all together. Should start looking like a paste. All right, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of water. Thin that out. Oh yeah, that looks really good. I've drained my sweet potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and add those to the crock pot. We're going to take a spatula and we're going to mix it all together. Make sure the sweet potatoes are all coated with our brown sugar cinnamon mixture. Before we do some more good stuff to these sweet potatoes, we need to cook these down and get them nice and soft. So we're going to place a lid on. I'm going to cook mine on high for 3.5 to 4 hours, or you can cook them on low for about 6 to 8 hours. You want to make sure that you can pierce a fork through the sweet potato and they're nice and tender. And then we're going to finish these off because we're looking for some yummy sweet potato casserole. Everyone's favorite at the Thanksgiving table, right? Every so often, make sure you lift the lid and stir up the potatoes. And then place the lid back on. Okay, our sweet potatoes are fork tender, nice and done. Look at that, yum. What you're gonna do while your crock pot is still on, we're gonna sprinkle 5 ounces of mini marshmallows, which is generally half a bag, just right across the top. We're gonna sprinkle some chopped pecans across the top, about 3 or 4 ounces. We're going to stir that all together. Doesn't that look good? We want to melt those marshmallows right in there. We're going to sprinkle the remaining of the marshmallows across the top. Nice and even. Another 2 ounces of chopped pecans right across the top. We're going to place the lid back on for 15 minutes. It smells delicious in there. Oh yeah. All right, look at that. All out of your crock pot. Those creamy marshmallows, the crunch from the pecans, and those sweet potatoes. Oh, that glaze that we made. All right. We are going to make broccoli cheese casserole. So delicious. It is a family favorite. Who doesn't love broccoli? I had some leftover fresh broccoli from when I made my cashew chicken, so it's going to be perfect for this dish. You can even use frozen broccoli if you want to use that also. We've got some cheeses that's going to go in this, some delicious flavors and ingredients, so stay tuned. It's a perfect accompaniment to any dish. You ready? Let's go ahead and put this one together. Okay, let's talk about the broccoli. If you're using fresh broccoli, you want to go ahead and wash it off, which I did. Now it's just in a strainer right here. We're going to take it and we're going to cut these into bite-sized pieces. We're going to steam the broccoli first. That way it has a head start in cooking and it doesn't take all day in the oven when we prepare this. Now if you're using frozen broccoli, you'd want to go ahead and thaw it out. We're going to need about 6 cups. Now the texture between using fresh broccoli and frozen broccoli will differ. It'll be a little softer if you're using the frozen broccoli and you thaw that out. So just keep that in mind. Cut it as small as you want. Just as long as they're bite-sized pieces at least. That way it's easier to eat. All right, I'm going to go in and pull out all the little ones. This is about a 16-ounce bag. What we're going to do is place the broccoli into a large bowl. Okay, now what you want to do is steam your broccoli because you want to give it a head start in the cooking process. I'm going to place mine in the microwave. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap and I'm going to steam it in the microwave for about 2 minutes. Or you can put this in a pot with very little water on the bottom, put a lid on it and steam it for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the texture, size that you want of your broccoli. Make sure you cover it good. That's going to help in the steaming process. Now what we're gonna do is make that creamy goodness that we're gonna fold the broccoli into. So in a large bowl, we're gonna start with 1 cup of mayonnaise. I'm just using a 1/3 cup measuring tool. You gotta get all of that out of there. 1 can, this is 10.5 ounces, cream of celery soup, or you can use cream of chicken soup, or you can use cream of mushroom soup. That smells good in there. Cream of celery soup always smells like the holidays. I don't know why. We're going to add in 2 eggs. Now I've already beaten these lightly. All right, we're going to dice up an onion really quick. This is a small onion. If you're using a medium onion, then I would definitely use half of one. Make sure you dice it. It's very small. All right, just cut it in half. I'm just going to do thin slices. Cut through it very thin. I think I may just do that right here. That's perfect. Now, you don't have to even put onion in there. I mean, you can even put onion powder or dried minced onion that comes in a jar. You can do that also. Okay, we're gonna go ahead now and season it. We're gonna go in with half a teaspoon of salt. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So I'm just going to take half of that and then put that in. All right, we're going to go ahead now and mix this together till it's well combined. The only sad part about this is I can't go in and give it a taste for you because there's egg in there, and I'm not about to do that. No, but I can certainly smell it, and it smells delicious. Okay, we're going to bring over our steamed broccoli. Frozen broccoli that you thaw out, you want to prepare it per the instructions on the back of the package, to steam it also, and then just drain it. All right, we're going to add that into our mixture. We're going to stir this all together till all the broccoli is well coated. All right, I think it's all nice and coated. We're going to add in 8 ounces of cheddar cheese. Now I'm using a triple cheddar, which is a Vermont white cheddar, sharp cheddar, and mild cheddar cheese. We're going to stir that all together. This is a broccoli cheese casserole. It's going to have cheese in it. Well, that looks good right there. Okay, we're going to take a casserole dish. This is about a 9 by 12, and we are going to spray it with some nonstick cooking spray. And then we're going to add our mixture into the prepared baking dish. We'll get all that goodness out of there. All right, I'm going to spread it out evenly. Thought we were done with that cheese, huh? I'm going to add 4 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese shredded right across the top. I'm not going to cover it entirely because you want to be able to see the broccoli through the cheese. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and make the topping. I just got a Ziploc bag here. 1 sleeve of Ritz buttery crackers, or Townhouse crackers. All right, we're going to place them in the bag. Zip it up and crush them up. All right, I'm bringing over half a stick of butter that I've melted in a bowl. We're going to add the crushed crackers and then coat them. I'm going to bring back over our casserole, and then we're going to sprinkle our crumb mixture on top. I'm going to place this in my oven that's been preheating at 350 degrees for 30 minutes until that cheese has melted and the topping is nice and golden brown. This will be uncovered. Doesn't that look delicious? It smells delicious. Oh, look at that creaminess, that broccoli. Oh, it's tender. Chicken cornbread dressing. This is for those people that come to your Thanksgiving table that don't like turkey or ham. Give them chicken. Now this chicken and cornbread dressing is a really easy recipe. We're going to be using already packaged cornbread mix and turn this into cornbread that we're going to crumble up. Now there's so many brands out there of a cornbread mix. We're going to be making 2 packages which are 6 ounces each, and I'm going to be following the directions on the back of the package. Now this could totally be different than the package that you're using, okay? So just make sure, make the cornbread per the directions on the back of your package. I'm doubling up today, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making this in a 9 by 13. Let's get started. Now I'm using the Pioneer brand. So just open both of them, put them into a medium bowl. All mine seem to be right there in the front. There we go. Preheat my oven. I'm going to add the milk. And then the other ingredient on the back of the package was 2 eggs, slightly beaten. So we'll put that in a bowl. Make sure there's no shells, and then we'll lightly beaten it. Let's get those shells out. All right. Just slightly beat it, and then we'll add it to the cornbread and milk. That looks good. We're just going to take a whisk, mix this together until just combined. We don't want to over mix. That should do it right there. Make sure you go all the way down to the bottom and it's all incorporated. I'm going to be using a 9 by 13 baking dish. We're doubling up on the recipe today. You need a lot for Thanksgiving, right? Makes good leftovers. All right, pour your batter in. All right, we'll make sure it's nice and even. I got my oven preheated according to the directions on the back of my package here. It's going to take about 20-25 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. I'll be back and we're going to finish this dressing off. Now the package that I'm using, the directions on it will be different from yours, so just make sure you're following your directions. Now for this recipe, I am filling this dressing up with a lot of chicken. You want to use cooked chicken for this recipe. However you get there, you can boil your chicken, you can bake your chicken, you can crock pot your chicken, Instapot it. I am using 2 rotisserie chickens here. This is a mesquite flavor, so it's going to add some deliciousness to our recipe. So if you're going to do it any other way, make sure that you season your chicken really well, because that's going to add the flavor to your dressing. So what I'm going to do is cut these down to bite-sized pieces and get this ready before our cornbread comes out of the oven. All right, here's the first one. Okay, You're going to want about 4 to 5 cups of chopped chicken. We're going to keep on layering in that texture and the flavors of this dish. To give it a little crunch, we're going to saute up some celery and onion. I love to dig deep into a big thing of celery and pick out some ribs in here that have the flowers in it. Now I'm going to wash this off. We're going to chop it up. What we're going to do is thin out our ribs of celery somewhat. So we have thin, small dices. So I'm just dragging my knife through the center of the celery, going from the top all the way down to the bottom. There you go, just like that. I'm just going to run my knife through them. See those fine dices? That's what we're looking for. Keep it small. Those flowers of the celery, they just look pretty in a dish. And it has flavor in it also. Nice aromatic. There we go. Look at that. It's got the dark pieces in there. I can already smell that. All right, let's chop up an onion. What I'm going to do is take off ends of the onion, peel off that outer layer, and then we're just going to dice it up. Now I cut my onion in half, and I'm just dragging my knife through each half, following the line of the onion as much as you can. Just kind of a guide. And then once I get down to the end, just turn it a quarter of the way, run my knife through it, and there's your dices. In a medium skillet, we're going to add about 4 tablespoons of butter right here. Grab a knife. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to put our burner onto a medium-high heat. There we go. Okay, we're going to melt this, allow it to get kind of sizzly, and then we'll add our celery and onions to it and start softening it down. That's what we're looking for right there. Let's add celery and onions. Oh, it smells so good. That's why I like to add a lot. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, black pepper, and I'm going to add in a little bit of poultry seasoning. We're going to add it here, and then we're going to go ahead and add it with the other ingredients here in a little bit. All right, let's mix this all up. Y'all tell me, while this is sauteing up, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish? I have about 15 or 20 of them. I think the whole table. Thanksgiving was a big thing for me growing up. I love it. 5 years ago, I put a whole Thanksgiving dinner together with my family involved in some aspect of it. You can go check it out on my YouTube channel, just Thanksgiving dinner or meal. You'll see it on there. It was one of the first things we ever did on the channel, so, you know, be gracious with us. All right, I'm going to bring my cornbread over. It actually sat on the back burner for a few minutes. I'm on a whole nother dish, I think. Now you want to take your cornbread, and as you can see, there's a piece missing down there. Thomas wanted to check it out. So, how was it? Did y'all get the thumbs up? Okay. Take your cornbread, and we're gonna turn off the peppers and the onions here. There we go. Let that cool down for just a minute while we add our cornbread to a large mixing bowl. Now what you want to do is take it, once it's cooled down just a little bit, which is has here, and we're going to break it up into small pieces. Crumble it up. Make sure your hands are clean before you do this step. You want little pieces. I'm going to crumble the whole thing up into this large bowl. I like to take it and just kind of rub it into itself. He likes this cornbread. He said it's really good, the brand. I'm telling y'all, Pioneer makes some of the good stuff. We're going to add our cooked chicken. Make sure you have a large bowl for this, especially if you're doubling the recipe. We're going to take our celery and onion that we sauteed, and we're going to add it to the dish. There we go. We're going to add in 1 10-ounce can of cream of chicken. Now I'm using the cream of chicken with herbs, or you can even use the cream of celery. I got a lot of celery in there, so I'm just going to do the cream of chicken. Whatever you have on hand, either way will go. There we go. Now I'm going to fill up my can here twice with some chicken broth. We're going to start with a 20. If we need to add any more, then we will as we're mixing everything up together. This is a dressing, so the dressing is pretty wet. All right, let's add 1 more can. Okay, we're going to season some poultry seasoning, black pepper. That's what I like. There we go. Some salt. Whoop. We're going to mix this all together. We'll start pulling it from the bottom. This is where you just start mashing it in. Now, I do not put egg into my dressing. That's not my recipe. And you don't need one. It serves as a binder, but you don't need this with this recipe here. We got lots of stuff in there that help bind everything together. Okay, look at this mix. That is perfect right there. We're going to take some butter and we're going to butter our baking dish or your casserole dish. Anywhere between an 8 by 11 to a 9 by 13 will suit this recipe here. The butter here will add some nice flavor and keep it from sticking. And flavor is what it's all about for Thanksgiving. Now we're going to put our mixture into the casserole dish. Load it in.
Thank you.
All right. It's always great to have some extra hands in the kitchen. I always have extra hands in the kitchen. It's nice. There we go. We're going to smooth it down, press it down. I want to make sure it's nice and even. That way it cooks nice and even. We're going to place this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 to 35 minutes. Get it nice and crunchy on the top, golden brown, and heated through. We're diving in. Oh, look at that. Nice and creamy. It's got a nice crust on the top. Today I'm going to show you how to make baked macaroni and cheese. We've got lots of cheeses we're going to grate up. We're going to get our pasta going, and then we're going to make a delicious cheesy sauce to pull it all together. Then we got to bake it. It's mac and cheese. You need lots of cheese. I have my great value here. 8, 8, and 16. So we got 32 ounces of cheese. I've got a medium cheddar, a sharp cheddar, and we're going to do a Colby Jack, which is Colby and Monterey Jack cheese. I'm going to start shredding it up. Now, if you grate your own cheese, you're going to have a very creamy sauce. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that looks good. There's our 32 ounces of shredded cheese. Let's go start our pasta. All right, on my back burner, I just put on a large pot of water, brought it to a boil. Generally, it happens faster if you put a lid on it. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of salt. This will help flavor the pasta. I'm using this large elbow pasta. This is 1 pound going in. I'm going to stir this for about 1 minute. That'll keep the pasta from sticking. We're going to cook this per the directions on the back of the package until it's al dente. And then we'll drain. All right, we're going to get ready to make that creamy, cheesy sauce to pull this all together. We're going to start in a large skillet, and we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of butter and start melting that. And I may go like half a stick, 4 tablespoons. That's because I always go overboard. Now we're going to let that come to a sizzle. All right, to the butter, we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of flour. Just sprinkle it in. And 3. We can go over a little bit because we added 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to whisk this for 1 minute. That'll cook out the rawness of the flour. We'll give it a nice color. Now what we're going to do is whisk in 1 can of carnation evaporated milk. Go slow with it. All right, get the rest of it out. Then we'll blend that. We're going to add in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Get that blended in, and then we'll season it up. Salt. I'm not going to put too much in because we've got a lot of cheese going in. Black pepper. Garlic powder. Ooh, flavor it. Onion powder. Smoked paprika. Give it a nice color too. All right, let's blend that all in. Now, I'm going to add a little spice to ours. You don't have to do this step. We're going to put in some diced green chilies out of a can. What I am going to do, though, is make sure that our seasonings are where they need to be, so I'm going to just give that a taste. That's good. I feel like it needs something, though. What do y'all think? Well, we'll find out after we get the green chilies in and the cheese in. This is almost a green chili mac and cheese. All right, we're going to turn off the heat. We're going to go ahead now and add 2/3 of the cheese that we grated, which would be 24 ounces. You start whisking it in. All right, the residual heat from the sauce in the pan will melt our cheese. That should do right there. We'll save the rest. I'm going to show you how we're going to finish the rest of that cheese. All right, let's add the macaroni. All right, we're just going to mix it all together. Now, if it starts getting thick on you, you can add some milk or some more of the heavy whipping cream, which I'm going to do. Here we go. Now, I'm going to fill this whole thing up with the noodles. Now, if we don't use all the noodles, that's fine. I can make a pasta salad with the rest.
That'd be good.
Yeah. All right. We're going to spray with some nonstick cooking spray, a 9x13 baking dish. We're going to put half of our macaroni and cheese into the baking dish. Y'all, if you got the green chilies, put them in. It's good. Put one more right here. Spread it out. I like this recipe because it doesn't have eggs in it. But I do have a recipe for baked mac and cheese that has the egg in it. Slather it with cheese.
More cheese.
Y'all, I'm not kidding. This is baked mac and cheese. This will be good for like barbecues. My chicken pot roast that's fixing to come out in just a minute from the crock pot. Whoop. Let's almost covered the whole bottom with that cheese. All right, we're going to cover this with the rest of the mac and cheese. Let's top it with the rest of the cheese. Ooh, oh my gosh. We're definitely going to have some, and then we're going to pass it on to the kids. Smoked paprika going across the top. I've got my oven preheated at 325 degrees. We're going to bake this for about 25 to 30 minutes till the cheese is nice and melted on the top, kind of a golden brown. Now on the last 5 minutes, you can pop your oven onto a broil, and that'll take care of the top. All right, I'll be back. Who's drooling? Look at that, looks delicious. Let's go in. Y'all see that? Oh yeah. I need a fork. A big fork. Ooh, look at all that cheese. Today I'm going to show you how to make sausage apple stuffing for the holidays. It is full of deliciousness. We're going to bulk it up with the apples, celery, onions. We're going to add that nice succulent and savory sausage. We've got the bread, and that makes all the difference in the world, you guys. I'm going to show you how you're going to dry that out. We're going to add some delicious herbs and seasonings and then pull the whole thing together. Look at this. When you want this on your table, first thing we're going to do is talk about the bread. Now, when you're making stuffing, you need to have dried breadcrumbs. And I'm not using the stuffing mix that you can find in the store that's already dried for you, have all the herbs in it. We're going to make our own, and it's really easy to do. It only takes about 30 to 45 minutes in your oven to dry out your bread. I'm using a sourdough loaf here. It's already sliced, but I'm going to cube this and show you how to just dry it out fast. You don't have to leave it out overnight. So I'm just going to take my bread, and then we're going to cube it. You want to use a bread knife. I'm going to do about 1-inch cubes, so that's what I'm going to cut. We'll just cut through. And then we'll just turn it around and cut through that. Don't squish your bread. You want to dry out your bread. That way it can absorb all the delicious flavors and liquid that we're going to put into this. You want about 4 to 5 cups of the bread because we're going to be bulking it up with a lot of good stuff. Now I've got a large sheet pan. I just lined it with a piece of parchment, and then I put a rack on top of it and make sure it's oven proof and it fits my pan here. And we're just going to fill this with the breadcrumbs here. And if you have big pieces, you can just break them up. That's fine. Nobody will know. This will make about a 9 by 13 amount of stuffing. Now that looks like enough. I'm going to try to get it all kind of a single layer as much as I can. That way the air, the heat from the oven can get all around it and dry them out. We're going to place our oven at 300 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this in the oven, and it'll be in there until it gets up to 300, and then it'll sit there for about 30 to 45 minutes. Just give one a check and make sure it's nice and dried out. All right, the next step is we are going to cook up sausage. I have 1 pound of pork sausage. Now I'm using the Whataburger here. If you've seen my Aldi haul a few days ago, you'll recognize that I bought that there. So we're going to put it into a large pan, and we'll start breaking that up, browning it up. Okay, this smells delicious. Have y'all ever had a taquito from Whataburger? Yeah, that smells delicious. We're going to turn our heat onto a medium-high heat, start browning this up. I'm going to use my meat masher. Okay, now while the sausage is doing that, we're going to go over here and let's talk about those right there. We're going to be bulking up our sausage apple stuffing with some celery, nice crisp celery, big yellow onion that we'll dice up, and then 2 apples. Now I'm using a Granny Smith apple and a red apple. This is an Envy apple. You can use whatever apples you like for that. This will give a nice tartness to it, a nice sweetness to it, and some nice color to it because I'm going to keep the skins on it. So we'll chop this up. Now I've got about 3 ribs of celery. I just washed it off. I'm going to cut some of the ends off here. And I went into the inside of that celery to get those leaves out of there because they are so pretty and they will look really good in the dish. So what I'm going to do is just go lengthwise and just kind of cut strips so we can get nice dices going on. I don't really want a lot of chunks in there, so everything will be nice and small. Now you can add as much celery as you want to this dish. I'm putting it in there. Watch your fingers, always tuck them in. Let's get all those leaves in there. Whoa, look at that. Yum. We'll scoop that on over. We're multitasking. We're cooking our sausage and cutting our vegetables. Oh, that celery smells like the holidays. All right, with the apples, since we're keeping the skin on, I've already cleaned them off. I'm going to cut off all 4 sides of the apple up to the core. And then we'll cut them about the same size as we did the celery. And then we'll just turn it around, cut through that. This will add a nice sweetness to the dish. A little burst of flavor and juice. All right, once I get this done here, I will check on the sausage and then I'll cut up the other apple. Just keep breaking it up into pieces. Now I'm only doing half of the green apple. I got to looking at all the apples here and I don't want it to be too appley. Now I'm going to take my big yellow onion and we're going to get that diced up also. Woo! So big, large yellow onion, or you can do 2 medium onions. Or if you don't like a lot of onion in it, you can do like half a medium onion. Just chop it in half. Run your knife through, find the lines of the onion. You can just follow it pretty closely to it anyway. Keep it all together, turn it around, and run your knife through it. And then you got nice dices. There you go, just like that. Woo! And again, I think I may, because this was really large onion, I may just stick with that right there. Maybe do half more. There we go. You know, this is your stuffing. The onion will cook down. All right, we got all that ready. Look at that sausage. I can see the seasonings in there, in the sausage. Can you see that? Oh yeah, nice and flavored. All right, we're going to remove the sausage from the pan and place it on a plate. All right, we're going to place the pan back on our burner. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons of butter to the skillet. We need lots of flavor. It is the holidays. So when I say a couple, I'm probably going to put half a stick in there. And we'll start melting that down. There we go. Get that going. This is where we're going to saute all of our vegetables here. We got the celery, the apples, and the onions. We'll let the rest of the butter melt as we get our vegetables in. All right, let's add the celery, the apples. We're going to put it all in. All right, there we go. There we go. Ooh, yeah. We're going to saute this down till the apples are nice and soft, the celery is nice and soft, and the onions are. It'll take a few minutes, and then we're going to start adding some flavor to it. All right, I'm going to start seasoning up with some rosemary leaves. There we go. I'm going to put in some ground sage. It's the holidays. I'm going to put in some poultry seasoning. It'll make it smell like the holidays for sure. And they're like that. We're going to put in some black pepper. Woo. And then we'll add in some salt. Flavor everything up. All right, I pulled the breadcrumbs out of the oven. They are very dry, and I still had 10 minutes to go on these. So just give them a check every so often and make sure that, you know, they're just dry enough to absorb all the liquid. So that's good because then we don't have any more time in the oven on these. The rack helps because it brings that air up underneath of them and keeps them nice and crisp. So we're gonna hang on to those for just a minute until our apples, celery, and onion are softened. All right, look how soft these look. Those are nice. Make sure you just kind of pick up an apple, give it a taste, see if it's seasoned well. If you need to add a little bit more salt, you can, or some more poultry seasoning, whatever you like flavored in here. If you want to add some fresh herbs, you can do that. Chop up some fresh rosemary, thyme, and sage. Maybe some parsley. You can put that in there, but you know, there's a lot of color going on in here. What we're going to do now, we're going to take our sausage that we pre-cooked and we're going to place it into the apple, celery, and onions. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn off the burner. Now I'm going to add half of the breadcrumbs there. Now, if you're using the already breadcrumbs, the stuffing that you can get from the store, they're going to be seasoned already, so just be careful with that. Now, this is where we're going to determine what we need. So I'm going to mix this together, and then we're going to get some chicken broth and pour it all over it. Now, I had picked up this Simply Natured chicken broth. It's low sodium. Got this from Aldi. We did have a haul that we did the other day. You can go check it out. So this is 4 cups. I'm going to put 2 cups of that in, and we'll just work with it. There we go. Make sure the breadcrumbs are nice and coated. Then we'll add the rest. Get those mixed in and see what we got going on. Just keep mixing. You want those breadcrumbs nice and softened by the broth. I'll add some more of the breadcrumbs. It's really best if you dry out your breadcrumbs. If you try to use it soft right out of a package, it won't work very well. It won't absorb the liquids. It'll just be kind of a gummy mess, really. So it's really important. And it took the time to dry these crumbs out as it did to make the mixture, so it all came together pretty good. All right, let's add some more. That's what I have. We'll get that all mixed in. I'm going to take half a stick of butter and I'm going to melt it. We'll put that in. All right, we're going to get that all mixed in. It's the holidays. It's all about the flavor. All right, I'm going to bet I am not going to need any more liquid. All right, we're going to grease a baking dish with some butter. So I'm just going to use the stick that I had, the wrapper, just go in. You can use non-stick cooking spray if you want to also. We're just going to keep it from sticking. All right, we're going to take the mixture and we're going to put it into our baking dish. Nice pretty casserole dish you're going to serve it from. All right, we're just going to kind of evenly place everything. I'm not going to smush too much. I really want some texture to this dish. We'll press it down, but not too much. Look at that. That's gorgeous for your holiday table. We're going to bake this at 350 degrees in a preheated oven for about 30 to 35 minutes covered. And then we'll remove the foil and then we will cook it an additional 15 to 20 minutes to kind of get it nice and crispy on the top. Who would not want this on their holiday table? I'm going to put this on a plate and I'm going to give this a try for you. I can't wait to dig in, taste those succulent, sweet apples with this recipe here. All right, there's my bite. I'm just kidding. I am trying this for you though. But I got the celery, the apple on there, the sausage, the bread. Oh, all those flavors. Wow. That is delicious. This might be the first thing that's going to disappear off your table. This right here. All right, you guys. Give me a thumbs up on this one. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. Hope you enjoy this, whatever table you put this on or bring this to. Make sure that you click the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification. That way you'll always know when my shows are posted. Go onto my recipe blog, catherinesplates.com, and you'll find all of my Thanksgiving and holiday dishes out there, including my last one I did with that turkey in the crock pot. Yeah, and even try the ham in the crock pot. All right, you guys, I'll see y'all on the next episode. Bye.